A guten Tag. And welcome to the April 28th, 2008 edition of the Blamb DIno Jam. So I'm trying out my new format, so let me know what you think. Here goes nothing. So just a little bit of daily life updates. As you all know, I'm going to Alaska come June 21st, and unfortunately I won't have any internet, I won't have any cell phone, I won't have any mail. I'm basically going to be in the middle of nowhere. Subsequently, my lovely blog, which you are all viewing, vlog, whatever you want to call it, stop correcting me, won't be available from that point until at least September 10th, but I will give you guys plenty of video clips once I return. So no worries. Also in the news of my life, I actually weigh the least I've weighed since I was 13. For those of you who don't know, I was a fatty. Fatty, fat. Ooh, doo, 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 doo. Up until probably junior year of high school, at which time I weighed 280 pounds. To give you a reference point, right now I weigh 174, which is a lot less. Go figure. Along with my weight loss, I have actually managed to make some new friends lately, which is very odd for me. Being that I don't really escape my room and I spend about 90% of my time fooling around on my computer, it was pretty impressive to me that I actually managed to meet some new people. It's a funny story because I met this girl through a friend of mine a long time ago when she had a crush on him for about a month, and then he wasn't really interested, but somehow I got hooked up with her on Facebook, and subsequently we friended each other. Flash forward to January of this year, and I started using Couchsurfing.com again, which is a network for people who don't like to spend money when they go places and like to sleep on other people's couches, and I found her in the area because I realized that I needed to make some new friends because I don't really know anyone right now. And so we friended each other. And she invited me to something a while back that I just couldn't go to, but then about a week and a half ago, she invited me out for the weekend to come visit her at her apartment with her friends and her boyfriend and the whole gang that she lives with for a night of wine and cheese. It was very classy. We played Trivial Pursuit, and might I say, I am not too bad at that game. After the wine and cheese, we played beer pong for several hours, during which I became obliterated. Thankfully, they had many couches and allowed me to crash there. But it was cool because I literally went to a party where I didn't know a single person face to face ever before in my life, and I left knowing about 8 or 9 new people. So, hurrah! Yay! Friends. So, new people are good. The weather's been great lately, but not today. Today we have rain, it's overcast, and it makes me want to cry. I tend to do that off camera though because it makes my eyes all glistening and it just doesn't work on film. Last little bit about my life, something interesting happened about a week ago. I've started to try and sell all my crap on eBay and Craigslist like I had mentioned I was going to do before because I have no money, cannot pay my health insurance, and I bought a new computer which I couldn't afford anyway. I'm a freaking retard. So I started to sell all this stuff, and one of the items that I put on was this painting that I found in my grandmother's basement that she was just going to put into a tag sale and put like $5 on. So I suggested that I would try to hawk it on Craigslist. I threw it up for 75 bucks, not really knowing anything about the artist, thinking it was just some local guy, and about a day later I got an email. The guy who emailed me was an artist who told me that the painting was worth way more than $75, showed me a link to several other paintings which were worth $1,200. If that's not enough, I searched the artist and I found paintings of his going for 12 grand at some estate sales. And this one's a big painting. I'm not going to show it to you because you might try to steal it from me. So now I just have to figure out how to sell the damn thing because I don't know how to deal with lots of money. It's a rough world. I've decided it's about time to start a new little section of the Blamb DIno Jam, so I now announce Douchebag of the Day. Sometimes Douchebag of the Day will be dedicated to someone in my life who has shown himself as a douchebag, such as that guy whose name I'm not going to mention that left a very unhappy comment on one of my previous videos. Excuse me, sir, but I do have a life. I make these vlogs on a daily basis to share with my people out there. However, you're the guy who probably searched for sex on YouTube and ended up popping up my video because I used that to draw people in. Sucker. Anyway, today's douchebag of the day is Joseph Fritzl. For those of you who have absolutely no idea who I'm talking about, Joseph Fritzl is a man who in Austria kept his daughter locked up in a dungeon he created in a sub-basement for 24 years. Not only that, but he also kept the 7 children that he fathered with her, 3 of them down in the basement, and the other 4 he claimed to have adopted because his daughter apparently left them on the doorstep. In the meantime, he managed to have a happy life with his wife and 4 adopted children upstairs, while this daughter was locked downstairs with her 3 eldest for the entire time they were alive. It wasn't until one of the kids got sick that they actually got to go to the hospital, and eventually the story became clear that these people had been locked up in this dungeon. The father had been raping the daughter and had pumped out a bunch of kids. What the I got nothing here, folks. Honestly, that's just ridiculous. So, Joseph Fritzl, you should be proud because you are the first douchebag of the day. Yay! Ass. In other news, I just figured I would do a little blip about the world news. Dun dun da da. So, I like to cover the news that doesn't necessarily reach the main mediums, and therefore I have 2 little bits of science news for you folks today. Yay! If you don't like science, I suggest turning off your headphones immediately. The first one comes from a website that I like to watch. It's called ScienceDaily.com, and they mentioned that we are this much closer to having synthetic photosynthesis. This meaning that we would be able to actually help purify the air that we've been destroying because we would actually be able to create machines that would clean the air that we breathe, much like plants do, but on a much more rapid rate, thus cutting down on carbon emissions significantly. This would be great, especially since apparently we're using way too much oil. If the freaking price of oil is $120 a barrel, and the freaking price of gas is $3.76 or whatever I spent this afternoon. Another thing that makes me want to cry myself to sleep at night. The other little bit of science news happens to do with sushi. Big sushi, in fact. This sushi I am speaking of concerns a 30-foot long giant squid that was captured about a year ago off the coast of Antarctica. The fisherman captured it, left it in the net, and brought it to a science lab where it was frozen immediately in order to keep it from rotting. It took scientists in New Zealand nearly a year to figure out how they were going to defrost this thing without the animal rotting before they actually got to cut it open. So right now it sits in a bath of ice-cold salt water until it starts to defrost over the next 3 days, at which time scientists hope to open up the net, get it out, see how big it is, start doing all the tests, give it an autopsy, fill it full of latex, preserve it in formaldehyde, and then put it in a tank at the museum. This could be the largest giant squid ever seen, captured, or known of to man. So it's kind of a big deal because these things are out there and they're vicious. 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 Haven't you ever seen that painting of the one that's, fighting with the sperm whale? Those things are messed up. Final words for today. If your father or mother ever tells you that she wants to show you or he wants to show you something in the basement that's very interesting and has a needle in their hand and possibly some other drugs on hand, make sure that you do not follow them. Because use your imagination. Talk to y'all later. Everybody Wang Chung tonight.